AITA for not apologizing to a little girl when my dog scared her. I have a little dog who is not a fan of children. He ignores them when they ignore him, but gets very nervous when they yell and run or jump towards him. The other day I was walking him on the sidewalk next to my house, and a lady was sitting outside watching her little daughter, 4 to 5 F, play. The daughter saw my dog, who is very cute and fluffy, and started running towards him and screaming excitedly. My dog got scared and started barking. The girl got scared and started crying hysterically. Her mother started yelling at me and demanding I apologize to her daughter because my dog scared her. I said that I have nothing to apologize for, as my dog was properly leashed and far away from the girl at all times, so I did my duty as a dog owner, and she should do her duty as a parent and teach her child not to scream and run towards strangers' dogs, as you never know how they would react. She disagreed, and eventually I just walked away. Reddit, AITA, edit. The incident took place on a public sidewalk next to the entrance of my apartment building. The dog was at least 3 meters away from the girl at all times, and on a short leash, so there was never any danger that anything would happen to her. Edit 2. Based on some comments, I feel the need to point out that I do not hate children. In fact, I love children very much, and I have not ever blamed the little girl for any of this. I completely understand that my dog is small and cute, and that's why she got so excited. NTA. Not your problem. She can't teach her kid not to scream and run towards pets. She's lucky you leashed your dog. I've seen kids get bitten or chased after doing what this kid did because the owner wasn't responsible and leashing their pet. Not your problem. She can't teach her kid not to scream and run towards pets. There's a pandemic, the kid shouldn't be running toward anybody at all. NTA. She needs to teach her kid the proper way to approach a dog. No kidding. I've seen kids who've gotten destroyed faces from just that. No one wants to go through the effort of healing a half torn off face. And seeing 5-year-olds with stitched skin like that is always so sad. Nata. NTA. From past bad experience, I know kids need to be taught to stay away from dogs they don't know. I think a lot of adults need to be taught this too. As a child raised primarily by my immigrant grandmother, I wasn't really taught much about how to approach dogs when I was little. I wasn't like the girl in your story, but I was a bit too abrupt and never let the doggos sniff me before going to pet. One day on a walk, a really kind lady witnessed the way I was interacting with her absolute sweetheart of a dog and gave me safety tips for the future. She told me all about how it was important to let the dog sniff you, ask the owner for permission to pet, and approach a dog calmly. And best of all, the woman explained why all of these things were so important, and that it wasn't to make me sad, it was to keep me and doggo safe and comfortable. Up is nota, but if you ever do have a kid approach you like that, it doesn't hurt to gently explain how to safely and responsibly go up to a dog. Although, don't know how well that would have worked in this situation, since this little girl's mother seems pretty brainless and would probably have just gotten more pissed off. AITA for telling my stepdaughter that she does not have to hug the disabled boy in her class. Quick background: I am neurotypical, so please correct me if anything I say is offensive or incorrect. I refer to her as my stepdaughter in the title and not my daughter to highlight that I'm a relatively new parent, and I'm still not sure about a lot of how I handle things. My stepdaughter is 6 and I've been in her life since she was 3. Last year, pre-COVID, my SD was involved in a kids theater group for fun. We had her pick one weekly activity to join, expecting a sport. She's very into football lol, but she surprised us. We used to go 1 to 2 times a week. There is a boy in her class who I will call John. John is neurodivergent, though I'm not sure exactly what his disabilities are. He has a lot of aggression and is easily overstimulated. His mom expressed that she was trying to get him more comfortable around other kids so she could feel okay starting him in kindergarten. John would spit, slap and pull hair. These actions were always either immediately disciplined, or stopped before they could even happen, by his mom, who seemed to be a vigilant and caring parent. On Valentine's Day, she had John bring in cards for everyone in the group. She had him go around and hand the cards personally, and either give a fist bump, high five or hug. With most of the girls he'd hug them and even give them a small cheek kiss. I could see my daughter starting to panic. She hates being touched. She has some sensory issues herself and barely lets even me or her father kiss goodnight, hug hello. I told her not to worry, and if she didn't want a hug she could say so. Her eyes got wide and teary and she asked if I could tell him for her. I said, why don't you try first? If you can't, I'll always help you. When he came up to us with the card, my daughter took it and said the gentlest, squeakiest little no I've ever heard when he went to hug her. He either didn't hear or didn't realize what she wanted, so I placed my hand on her shoulder and pulled her back toward me, saying thank you so much John. SD does not want a hug. His mother looked like she'd been slapped. Her face went red and then she was the one tearing up. She rushed John away and shot a thanks, that's great. That's just really great. Behind her as she went with him to the other side of the room. The other parents, mostly moms, totally took her side, and did not chat with me much for the few weeks we still met for theater after the incident. I was pretty much a pariah. I was very much viewed as the grown-ass woman who just bullied a disabled child. My daughter was very apologetic, which broke my heart. I was helping her in the car and she said, I'll just hug him next time, okay? I do not want her to ever think she has to adjust her boundaries for anyone, but I have so much sympathy for that young mom who was just trying to help her son and can't help but feel like I threw a wrench in it. NTA. The other parents are being shitty. She does not have to hug or touch other people. If someone mentions something, then give them a blank expression and say, she doesn't owe anyone access to her body. We do not force her. NTA. No one is entitled to access to anyone else's body, and that includes letting kids decide if they do or don't want to hug people. For the record, I am neurodivergent and I find this whole situation pretty uncomfortable. If I were John and a teacher singled me out like that, I would be so humiliated, and if I was in a class with John, the first would be upset on his behalf and on my own. I also wonder if they would be bending over backwards like this if John were a girl. Everything about this situation is gross except for your daughter wanting to decide what she does with her own body and your desire to back up her right to do so. I bet John's mother is one of those autism moms TM who makes everything about her. Yes, I find it rich that John's mom thinks everyone should go along with physical contact for her kid's sake, but either doesn't realize or doesn't care that other kids might have sensory issues as well. Not that you need a reason to not want to be touched. Also, there's a pandemic on. NTA. You just taught your daughter a great lesson in consent. She didn't want to be touched and so she wasn't. You're doing great. Explain to the other moms about your daughter's boundaries and that it wasn't personal. But if they still give you hell, then fuck them, because you weren't mean to that little boy and you had your daughter's back. Good for you, mama, stay strong. Sadly, all the other mums screwed it up. Since SD reasoned it'll be easier to just hug him next time. Please have a talk to your SD about bodily autonomy and that she never has to hug anyone. Please report this to the teacher, principal, school counselor. No child should be bullied for not providing physical affection. Your SD is not obligated to do anything for anyone, hug or otherwise. No means no. I empathize with the child's mother, but she's teaching him that he is entitled to girls' affections. NTA. And you sound like a good parent. AITA for clapping back at a relative who was being nosy. My husband's brother is married to a woman, Jenny, who nobody in the family is really a big fan of. She has basically no filter and will often blurt out rude things. One example is that we were once at an amusement park together and she loudly said, "Wow, there's a midget here," when a little person walked by. So it's pretty bad. She also parties a lot for someone her age. We're all mid-30s, and generally acts much younger than she is. We don't see each other often, and even less so recently, as you can imagine. We had a mini barbecue for President's Day that included her and Bill and my husband's parents. Basically we all grilled hot dogs and burgers in our respective kitchens and had a Zoom call. Everyone on the call was having a beer except me because I don't drink alcohol. I never have. There's no particular big reason for it, just the combination of a lot of little reasons: expense, lack of interest, don't like the taste, drunkenness is very unappealing to me. I am 1000% sure that this fact has come up before, so Jenny should have already known. Nonetheless, she sees me drinking a lemonade and the call takes a turn. Oh my god, are you pregnant? No, I just don't drink. You know that. You are pregnant. Congratulations, girly. Her husband butts in to confirm that I actually really don't drink and I'm not pregnant. Oh my god, really? That is so funny. Why don't you drink? I just don't. Can we please move on? Are you a Mormon or something? No. Was your daddy a drunk? Wow. No. You need to drop it. Are you on happy pills? Stop. Well, why then? Ha 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 ha. I don't know, Jenny. Why do you get so hungover that you can't drive your kids to school? I can't guarantee that the above exchange was word for word accurate, but it was pretty close to how it all went down. Jenny's mood turned on a dime and she started screaming at me about talking shit about her in front of her in-laws, and aren't I just a snooty little princess? Me and my husband ended the call and it's been unpleasant since then. Bill wants me to apologize to his wife, but I think I should only have to do that once she apologizes to me. I'm not sure if I went too far or what. I know what you said was rude, but I'm still going to say NTA because it sounds like she could benefit from having a taste of her own medicine. Her comments about whether you had alcoholism in the family and whether you were on antidepressants were completely uncalled for, and you were right to stand up for yourself. I hate the perception that you become just as bad when you finally lose your patience after a barrage of callous comments from someone who is habitually rude. I am not sure what kind of saint you're expected to be. Also, I don't drink either and I can confirm the "ooh, are you pregnant?" smile smile comments get so old. Someone asked me that once and my hubby jumped in and said, "Why yes, I am." So baby elephant. Wanna see its trunk? Think about it. We then walked away. I told him I thought they just might have been asking me, and he said of course he knew that, but he was sure I was tired of having to explain I wasn't pregnant. I just did not want to drink. This was maybe a week after we discovered I would never be able to get pregnant, so it is an especially tender memory for me of a time he helped me out just by being his wonderful, silly self. NTA, so, if you don't apologize she won't talk to you? Seems like a win for you. Don't threaten me with a good time. Jenny, do you not drink because you are pregnant? OP, no. Jenny, your daddy is a drunk. P, no, and at least him never hungover that I can't even drive my kids to school. Jenny, shocked Pikachu face. NTA, if she can't take it, she shouldn't throw it. Thanks for the awards. NTA, you did great. What a snappy comeback. Bill needs to think about what you said, not worry about you apologizing. Yeah, if Bill wants an apology, Jenny needs to apologize for calling the op pregnant, asking intrusive questions, calling into question the op's religion, indicating the op has familial problems with alcoholism resulting in trauma, and indicating the op was a drug addict. The line of questioning should never had gotten started, but it clearly and definitively should have stopped when the op asked to move on.